evening, humans. Tonight I have a scary cryptid story from Ohio based on true events. Here is the story. The Loveland Frogman. I didn't believe in the Loveland Frogman. Nobody my age did, not really. It was one of those Ohio legends. Good for campfires, good for tourist shirts, good for many kids afraid of the woods after dark. But I'm telling you this now because what I saw wasn't prank. It wasn't a costume, and it wasn't an animal. It was waiting for us. I grew up 10 minutes from the Little Miami River in a quiet part of Loveland where nothing ever happened unless we made it happen ourselves. My friend Evan and I were in that weird, restless stage where you're too old to trick-or-treat, but too young to do anything that feels like real freedom. So we wandered. Late-night drives, dumb dares, exploring places our parents swore we should never go. Evan was one obsessed with cryptids. He had the Frogman sightings memorized. 1955, the traveling salesman sees a creature with leathery skin and a wand that sparks. 1972, the police officer spots a crouched, frog-like figure under the bridge. Later that same night, another officer nearly hits the Frogman with his cruiser. And everyone forgets the best part. Evan would say. He'd lower his voice, the hiss, the glowing eyes. I'd roll mine. It was probably a raccoon with mange. He'd grin. Let's go find out. Finally, one Friday in July, he wore me down. Just the bridge, said 15 minutes. We don't even have to get out of the car. At the time, that felt like a reasonable promise. We drove out around midnight. Loveland was dead quiet, the kind of quiet where even the gas stations look asleep. The moon was low and orange, and the air felt heavy and with humidity and mosquitoes. The bridge was an old, narrow stretch of concrete over the river, surrounded on both sides by thick brush and trees that leaned in close like they were eavesdropping. Graffiti covered the railings. Everything smelled like damp algae and rust. I parked with the headlights pointing down the slope toward the riverbank. The beams hit the trees, but didn't quite reach the water. Did hear that even, Evan whispered. I didn't hear anything. Exactly, he said, too quiet. We waited in the dark. 5 minutes. 10. We talked about school and work and how much we hated both. We listened to the river more slowly under the bridge, thick and lazy. I almost said, let's go home. Then something hit the underside of the bridge. Just one heavy thud, metal and concrete. The whole car shook. Evan sat up fast. Did you? Yeah, I whispered. We listened, frozen, silence. Then another thud, closer, the sound of something climbing. I flicked the high beams on. At first all we saw was the slope heading down to the water, wet stones, overgrown weeds, a drain pipe trickling black water. Then something stepped out from behind the pipe. I didn't scream, I couldn't. It was about 4 feet tall, hunched forward on long limbs that bent the wrong way. The skin was pale, rubbery, like a frog pulled inside out. Its eyes were enormous, round, black, shining like wet stones. And when it turned to look at us, its jaw shifted like it was unhinging. It hissed, long and slow and deliberate. Evan gasped. Holy crap, that's it. That's really it. The creature stared into the headlights, blinking once in a lazy reptilian way. Then it straightened its back, vertebrae popping, and I realized it wasn't 4 feet tall. It was closer to 6. It crept forward, head tilting like it was trying to study us. One hand, if you could call it that, hung low, webbed fingers dragging against the gravel. and then from behind his back, it lifted something, a metal rod. Not a stick, not a weapon, a wand, like in the old stories, except this one sparked with a quick, sharp crack. The hair on my arms lifted, something in the air charged, like the moment before lightning hits. Evan whispered, "Dude, drive, drive," but I couldn't move. My foot was pressed on the brake so hard it shook, but the rest of me felt centered to the seat. The frogman took one long, deliberate step forward. Another spark jumped from the rod, blue, white, dancing between its fingers. The creature hissed louder this time, throat bulging, chest heaving like it was working up some kind of call. Then the rod flared, bright enough to blind. The radio in the car crackled to life, even though it had been off. Static, searching, something that almost sounded like words buried under the noise. Evan slapped his hands over his ears. "Stop! Stop it!" The creature took another step, and the wand went dark. Everything went silent again. Then the frogman leaned his head back and made a sound I will never forget. Half hiss, half croak, all wrong. Animal-like, but with the depth that vibrated the windows. I finally found my voice. "Hold on!" I slammed the car into reverse so fast the tires screamed. Gravel exploded behind the wheels. The creature jerked backward, startled or irritated, I couldn't tell. Its skin shimmered in the headlights, and for a second I swear I saw muscles ripple under the rubbery surface, like worms moving beneath fabric. As we peeled backward onto the road, the frogman bounded forward on all fours, fast, closing the distance with unnatural speed. I swerved. The creature stopped just before stepping into the beam of the headlights, as if the light itself bothered it. It crouched low, arms dangling, head twitching side to side. For a moment it just watched us, then it turned and slipped down the slope in one fluid motion, vanishing into the dark like it had never been there. We didn't stop driving until we were back in town, parked in the lights of a 24-hour gas station, both shaking so hard the car moved. We didn't talk, not for a long time. I tried to rationalize it, a costume, a misidentified animal, my imagination feeding on old stories. But two things kept me from believing that. First, when we checked the car later, we found long, deep scratch marks down the passenger side, 3 grooves, evenly spaced. They weren't from branches. They weren't from rocks. Second, Evan started waking up at night saying he heard something tapping on his window, like rhythmic taps, like webbed fingers. He swore he saw glowing eyes in the bushes. 3 weeks later, he refused to cross any bridge in Loveland, refused to go near the river, even moved his bedroom to the opposite side of the house because it was safer. He won't talk about the night anymore, not even to me, but sometimes when I drive past the Little Miami River at night, I swear I see something crouched under the bridge, just out of the headlights, just watching, just waiting, and even now, and then, when the wind is still and the water is calm, I hear a sound drift up from beneath the concrete, a low hiss, followed by a spark. Did you find that spine tingling? If you did, like and subscribe. Have a scary night and spooky nightmares.